Hello once again, Chiefs fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Kingdom Corner for Week 8, where the Chiefs are hosting the New York Football Jets. What's there to say about this game? It's really hard to figure out what to focus upon. You have an 0-7 team coming in against the defending Super Bowl champions who are sitting at 6-1. You know this is the Jets Super Bowl. You know they've got some players over there with pride. They've got some players over there that are probably feeling really beat up right now and ready to pack it in. The question is, which percentage of those guys will show up this week against the Chiefs? On paper, should be a beatdown. We don't play games on paper. We play them on the field. But I want to bring a few stats to the table tonight to give you an idea of what we're looking at, besides the obvious 0-7 versus 6-1 and the defending champs. As I said, you have Patrick Mahomes, who right now, as it stands, has 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been sacked 10 times. His passing completion percentage is better than Sam Darnold's passer rating. That's how far apart they are. Patrick he's got his highest QBR of his career at 85.8 this year so far. Sam Darnold's 40. It's not a match made in heaven for entertainment purposes. It shouldn't be that competitive. They haven't been able to pass the ball or run the ball with any effectiveness. In fact, if you combine Sam Darnold's passing yards with the Jets' rushing total, Patrick has more yards through the air by himself. So that's the kind of thing we're looking at right now. The Chiefs' passing defense is 5th in the league. They're not letting people throw the football on them. They're playing really well in the secondary, despite that being an area of concern with injuries and players coming back late, Breland coming off suspension, etc. And people wondering, are the Chiefs going to go after a Bleedy Ray Wilson from the Atlanta Falcons if they decide to let him go? They had a win last night, so they might hang on to their guys for another week, which would put it past the trade deadline. Will they go after somebody like a Xavier Woods for the Cowboys if the Cowboys lose this weekend? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what's going to happen. Trade deadline's coming, and Joku says he wants out of Cleveland. He'd be a great addition. I personally like the idea of somehow managing to extract J.J. Watt from the Houston Texans. Is it a pipe dream? Maybe, but so was Terrell Suggs last year, and that happened. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting. I don't want to say turnstile of players this week after the games have all been finished, but it should be interesting to see a few bodies going from one team to the next. And that's another thing. Speaking of them as bodies that get infected by viruses, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effect that has on how fast they can actually get them into the game and onto the field. Will they be coming from teams in quarantine situations? Will they be coming from, a team where there's been some guys infected or tested positive or around people that have been tested positive? How soon will you see those players on the field? We'll have to wait and see. One player we will see on the field, however, is one Le'Veon Bell, number 26 for the Kansas City Chiefs, in his first game against the New York Football Jets. The Jets are going to be facing the guy that, in my humble opinion, they didn't utilize properly. He was their property, he was on their roster, and he was on the sideline, in my mind, far too often. When you put the ball in a young quarterback's hands like Sam Darnold, and you ask him to carry the team, it's not a great proposition. Their offensive line isn't stellar. Their defense isn't great. They lost one Jamal Adams. He's now a Seahawk. So some of them are jumping ship. There's rumors that some guys want trades. We don't know if those are true or not. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, there's a game to play Sunday. And you have two teams that seem to be hurtling in opposite directions, diametrically opposed levels of success and failure. And to pretend that I feel like it's going to be competitive would be just lying to you, bald-faced lying to you. That said, like I said before, that's why you play the games. You never know. I can't see an angle. The starting running backs, any running back on the Jets who has over 3 carries has under 4 yards, 3.6, 3.7, and 3.9. On the Chiefs, you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire with 4.8 yards a carry. You have Darwin Thompson with 5.4 yards a carry. You have Le'Veon Bell with 6.5 yards a carry, and probably a little less than small chip on his shoulder, a little more than small chip, rather, on his shoulder. So he's probably going to be playing hard, running hard. I'm hoping that the Chiefs get out into a nice lead early so Clyde can rest and Le'Veon can put his grudge to work and just get that off of his chest, off of his back, whatever you want to call it, and really round into some form in this game. A concern I have, which I won't hide because this is fan stuff. We're talking fan football. One thing I was never a fan of was coaches who advise their players to hit people late or try to injure people. We all know that they have a defensive coordinator over there in Greg Williams who was banned for a year from the league and might have never gotten his career back, but they welcomed him back in for Bountygate. Bountygate was a big blemish on his career, and I've never let that go in my mind, in my back of my brain. I'm always concerned when I see his teams playing other teams. Is there a star in that other team that's going to be in jeopardy? So I would hope that the players have enough respect for players like Patrick and Clyde and Le'Veon, who was their teammate not that long ago, that they're not going to take cheap shots. It's a physical game. You don't need to do that. So hopefully they play a clean game. The Chiefs have been penalized more than their opponents this season. So I don't know if people think that we're getting away with stuff. We get more flags than the people we play. So we'll see if that continues this weekend. It probably won't. Last night was a precursor to our next game. We're going to be playing the Panthers, and they don't scare me very much at all right now. After the performance I saw last night, they can't get out of their own way on penalties, on defensive penalties that give up first downs. So will the Jets be like that? Will they play a more focused game? Will they somehow pull it together and try to be real competitive and maybe hang in there and try to wait for a late turnover or something? Turnover differential, the Chiefs are +8, the Jets are +2. Jets aren't a minus, but they're not doing great. Quarterback throwing 3 touchdowns to 6 interceptions doesn't help matters. Quarterback has a habit of fumbling the football, doesn't help matters. Running backs aren't able to get loose, blame it on the offensive line, blame it on the lack of talent at the running back position, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't bode well for an explosive offense that's going to be able to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are averaging right around 30 points a game. Chiefs opponents are averaging far less, under 20, and the Jets are averaging 9.5 points a game if you don't count the game against Denver where they scored 28. If you count that game, they're in the 12 points per game range. I don't know what to say. I don't see how they're going to move the ball with any kind of regularity. We saw what the Chiefs did to the Broncos. We saw what the Chiefs did to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, who I feel are a much better team and should run away with the NFC East. The Jets are in for a long day. It's in Kansas City as well. Not that that's as big a factor as it would be in normal circumstances with a full crowd, but it still gets loud there. It's still a loud room. It's still a loud stadium to play in. It's going to be an interesting game to watch from a perspective of heart. Let's see what kind of heart and what kind of intestinal fortitude the Jets players have. Let's see what kind of focus the Chiefs come out with. Let's make sure Kansas City, one of my biggest gripes this season and biggest frustrations, if you can have them, in a 6-1 season thus far, where everybody seems to be clicking and all facets of the game seem to be coming together when needed. One of the gripes I do have, and it happened with the Raiders, it happened with the Chargers, don't play down to your opponent's competition. When we do that, things get a little sketchy. Things are close at halftime against the Patriots. With Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham playing quarterback, that should have been a runaway. It wasn't. If anybody out there, if I asked you right now, would you take Brian Hoyer, Jarrett Stidham, or Sam Darnold? I would take, even with the turnovers, I'd take Sam Darnold because he has big playability. He could pose more problems than those other quarterbacks did. He has a huge run this season for a touchdown, so you know the kid can move. He was a good scrambler at USC. Hangs onto the ball a little bit too long. He's got a little Jim Kelly in him. He likes to take a long look, and he does fumble a little bit and does throw to the other team. I expect Kansas City to come away with at least 3 turnovers. If we don't have 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery, I'll be surprised. Sack-wise, if we don't sack him at least 3 times, maybe 4, again, I'll be surprised. If we have 2 or fewer sacks, I'll be shocked. I won't be surprised. I'll be shocked. I expect the defensive line to get back there in a bunch. And hopefully, Sam lasts the game and we have a good competitive football game and there's some interesting stuff to see and talk about after, and hopefully a blowout win by the Chiefs. Score-wise, I think it's going to probably be around 28 to donut. I think the Chiefs are going to blank them. I think it's going to be 28-0. I said earlier this week on Chiefs Chat, it might be 38-0 if we jump out to a lead early and Pat gets some air yardage and doesn't have to just hand the ball off all day, and that's good enough. If he gets some air yardage early, we get a couple quick scores. Then maybe, the Jets press and we get some defensive turnovers for touchdowns and things like that. Then it could get away. But just knowing Andy and Eric Bieniemy, the way they are conservative and the way they dial things back once they have a good lead, I don't expect them to pour it on. We could see another 40-13 type of game, or 43-13, 43-16 type of game like the Denver game, if there's a battle early. And then again, some late, some mid-game, late game, special teams, turnovers for touchdowns, things like that, special team kick returns, punt returns, whatever. I want us to see play with good field position. I want to see us play with good discipline. I want to see the defense be good in all aspects. I'd like to see good four-core special teams, and I'd like to see the offense click. I would love to see 2 or 3 drives early in the game where Patrick's just got them humming and we're scoring points, we're driving down. I'd like to see a first drive touchdown, and it would be nice if it was on a big play. Just getting a little bit greedy there, folks. Anyway, that's all I got for this weekend. I tried to stretch it out into a full show. I don't feel like there's a full show of it's mostly concept stuff I'm giving you, because I just really feel like it's just a beatdown waiting to happen. Sorry, Jets fans. I can't really see it any other way. Then again, I felt that way about the Raiders, and I was eating humble pie the next day. I don't think that's going to happen this time. We'll all find out together. With that, I'm Danilo DiGiulio. This has been Kingdom Corner. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, hammer that notification bell so you get all the notifications from us, and check out all of our content here on RGR Football. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Go Chiefs.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.